How's it going, Team Small Cock? And for today's video, I'm going to be doing a tier list to rank the best and the worst chest exercises. You're obviously going to get my opinion on what ones I think are worth doing the most and the least, and because I am a power building coach, I'm just going to be talking about these exercises in general terms. I'm not going to be talking about purely strength or hypertrophy, but I will obviously refer to each exercise in terms of where they fit on that spectrum. Obviously, each of your different exercises all serve a different purpose, so I will obviously take that into account as I'm ranking these, but I'm not going to rank them purely for helping you get stronger, purely building muscle. I've got all your big hitters in here, and I also put a question box on my Instagram story to get some suggestions from you guys. And cheap plug, if you're not already on my Instagram, go and follow me on there so you can get involved in the next time I do something like this. So yeah, we've got some conventional exercises and some not so conventional exercises. We're not going to be using a generic tier list to rank this. We're going to be using the Tino tiers, which is the tiers that I've come up with. So we've got 6 tiers. Starting off at the top, we're going to have the S tier still, which stands for shit hot. These are like the cream of the crop exercises, the absolute best ones, the goated ones, the god tier ones. The A tier is the good but not quite carling, which is very good exercises but just not quite at the absolute best. The B tier is a pretty goddamn good tier, which are exercises that are well above average but just not quite at the top echelon, but still good exercises nonetheless. The C tier is it's alright, like decent enough exercises that you can do, but nothing particularly special. The D tier is the meh tier, like just not too much to them really, like not really great, not like egregious or anything, but just like meh, whatever. Now the bottom tier, the F tier, is the pointless tier, and these are pretty much any exercises that maybe aren't even necessarily bad exercises, but they're just pointless doing because you could probably find another exercise or two that serve the same purpose much better. And there was quite a lot of these that got submitted from you guys, so that's what we're calling the pointless tier. And if there are any exercises that are just truly a bag of shite, they're just not getting ranked, and they just don't even deserve a place on this list. And there was one in particular on this list that's going to get told to go and fuck off. So the guidelines have been set, let's get into it. Starting off with the obvious, and that's barbell bench press, and I don't really think this can go anywhere other than the S tier. Although I'm not a massive fan of it, and I think it is a little bit of a flawed strength exercise in a way, it's pretty much the standard go-to for almost anyone in their chest training. You're going to build muscle, you're going to get stronger, it's a great all-round exercise, and it's obviously pretty simple and easy to do technique-wise. I think you struggle to debate putting this anywhere other than the A or S tier, so for me it's going in the S tier. Perfect go-to chest exercise. Next is the incline barbell bench press, and I will admit I'm not a massive fan of this exercise, and this is where my bias comes into play a wee bit, and I'm going to put this in the A tier. I think it's a great all-round exercise for building muscle and getting stronger. It can go in pretty much any place in any program, but for me, I just don't like it particularly much, and it's just because I'm not very good at it, and you won't be able to use quite as much weight as you can on a bench press, but it's still an appropriate exercise to get strong on. Flat dumbbell bench press is next, and again this is going to go in the good but not quite carling tier, the A tier. I really enjoy doing these. It is obviously a great exercise to build muscle because you can move freely. If you do have any niggly shoulder joints, it's a good alternative to bench press when you're not in that fixed position, and it is still good because you can pile on a lot of weight. You obviously are lacking in stability, which you could argue makes it maybe not the best strength exercise in the world, but I still think that is an appropriate strength exercise that you can focus on as well. Flat dumbbell bench going in the A tier. Next is dumbbell flies, and this is my personal favourite flying movement, and again that is going into the shit hot tier. I always get a brilliant contraction from doing these, and obviously it's not an exercise to get you strong, but it's not really meant to be, and for your isolation exercises for your chest, for me, this is king by a mile. And you're using the dumbbells, you should be able to move pretty freely, not have any niggles or impingements or anything like that, and you can get a really nice good range of motion on these. And obviously doing them with the dumbbells as well does make them a tiny wee bit more sort of strength focused than doing them on a machine. So for me, absolutely shit hot is dumbbell flies. Next exercise is dips. Now, a bit of bone in contention with me for this is because I really like this exercise, and it's one of my favourite overall pushing exercises, and I do think it's a great exercise for your chest. However, obviously it does work your chest, but it does target your other upper body pushing muscles as well, like your shoulders and triceps. As an exercise in itself, it's definitely an A tier, maybe even an S tier in terms of how much I enjoy them and how good an exercise they are, but in purely in terms of a chest exercise, which is what this list is for, has got to go in the pretty goddamn good category. So it's in the B tier, still a very good exercise to do, but I just don't think as a chest exercise it can be quite higher above that. Now to my personal favourite chest exercise, and that is incline dumbbell bench press. I absolutely love these. It's the chest exercise I always look most forward in doing, so it can't go anywhere other than shit hot. I absolutely love them. Over the years, this has been the biggest driver in growing my chest when I used to struggle with it, and although it is obviously a dumbbell exercise on an incline, I still do think it's a suitable exercise that you can load up the poundage on and train them heavy as a strength exercise. And again, dumbbells can move a little bit more freely. On an incline does obviously make it harder than flat dumbbells, but I just love these, and I think they can go anywhere in a program. You can do them as a main exercise, you can do them as a secondary exercise, you can even do them late at the end of the session as a finisher exercise. They're absolutely fucking brilliant, shit hot tier for sure. Sticking with the incline dumbbells, but we're going to talk about incline dumbbell flies, and for me these go in the pretty goddamn good category. Because you're on the incline, you are going to work more of your upper chest than like a flat dumbbell fly, but I think sometimes when you are on the incline you are kind of going forward a little bit, and it's just quite hard to kind of keep in your nice line and, you know, come horizontally down in that straight line without the dumbbells wanting to pull you forward. And I think that just takes away from the exercise a little bit. I don't think they're bad by any means at all, still a great exercise to do, but I think in terms of flying movement, this is probably bottom of the flying movement list. Now lastly, for the standard list that I was going to rank, I can't actually rank these, and that's machine presses, and that's because every single machine press in the world is totally different. You get some really good ones and some really shite ones, some that will suit you and some that won't suit you. So machine presses can be pretty good, and I suppose technically I would have to rank them in the kind of middle of the road, like the pretty goddamn good category. Obviously when you are using a machine, you're sort of taking away that sort of strength adaptation that you will get, as opposed to using like a free weight. So can't really rank machines, but that's just my thoughts on them. So if you get a good machine, then for you, you might be getting up into the S tier with them, but again, it just depends what you've got access to. Now, before we get into the fan voted section, do make sure that you are liking the video and subscribing, because it costs you free and takes you like 2 clicks of a button. And you're going to make me very grateful, and you're going to make me motivated to keep making more of these videos. And don't forget, there's all the cool stuff down in the description. Now, for the rest of the list, it's going to be all your suggestions. So we're going to start off with press-ups. Now, it was strictly speaking deficit press-ups that were suggested, but I'm going to include all press-ups here because I am a big fan of press-ups. I think they're such an underutilized exercise, and I'm going to put these in the B tier, the pretty goddamn good category. It's just an upside down bench press, and obviously you can't quite load up the same amount of poundage on it as you could a bench press, but I think it's a great exercise that you can do in your program and still train pretty hard, and especially when you start making tweaks like doing like a decline press up with your feet raised, or you do a deficit push up where you're coming like past your hands. I think they're a great exercise, and I'm keeping them in the pretty goddamn good tier, but there's a few variations that you could probably actually get up into like that A tier. So press ups for your chest, absolutely brilliant exercise. Next is cable flies, and these could go in 1 or 2. I'm going to put them in the A tier. It could be a B tier, but I'm going to put them in the A tier. They are good, but they're just not quite Carlin. They're quite a fair bit away from Carlin, to be honest with you, but I think cable flies are a good exercise. These might be slightly preferable for you than dumbbell flies. Sometimes you can lack a little bit of stability when you do these because the cables are pulling you back at all times. So again, really good exercise to do. Sometimes they can be a solid A tier, sometimes they might fall into the B tier, but still a good exercise nonetheless. Next exercise is plate press, and this can just get fucked off the list. This is just absolutely pointless. There is absolutely no point in doing a plate press. The most you're ever going to be able to use is 20 kilos. You're stuck in a shitey range of motion. It's just like, it's beyond pointless doing this. This is like an outright bad exercise, and there are very few of those in the gym, so you can just chuck this off. It's not even getting ranked. Next one isn't something I would have put on this list, and that's actually bent arm dumbbell pullovers, which you may be thinking, pullovers, that's a back exercise, but depending on how you do them, it can actually be a chest exercise. If you finish when you pull over your head, pushing the weight up at your top so the dumbbell isn't touching your chest, and that last bit of the exercise is a pushing movement, and see, to actually strictly work your chest, It's a bloody brilliant exercise, and you're probably going to think at first glance, no it's not. Please believe me, I used to do these religiously for my chest, as a chest exercise and a chest day. Chest, triceps were always absolutely burning after them. So they are like a really good exercise. However, as much as I love them, I need to be fair here, and I did say this is an exercise for purely targeting your chest, and in that case, it's got to go in the C tier, in the it's all right. Like, again, you can maybe do them sometimes, but by no means should they be dominating your program, and you can maybe go through a little period of doing them for your chest, but in general, because you're working so many other muscles at the same time, there's not too much point in having these as a staple in your chest workouts. Next exercise, back to the flies, and it's going to be a pec deck / machine fly, whatever you want to call it. And again, really good exercise. I do very much enjoy doing these. You are obviously restricted in the movement because you are in the fixed position, but if you do get a machine that suits you and works on you quite well, and a lot of these pec flies tend to be pretty adjustable, then I think it's a great exercise. You're obviously pretty stable and you should be able to work and get a pretty good contraction with your chest. So for me, pec decks, they are going to be in the good, but not quite carling. Now the next one's going to be a kind of combo, and that's going to be ring press ups and ring dips. Basically doing your pressing on like gymnastic rings. And one of the hardest exercises that you can do, probably full stop period, because there is absolutely zero stability and it's bloody tough to do. But again, when we are looking at all your chest training and prioritizing and getting the most out of your time, I don't think there's much merit in doing these really much at all, albeit they are like a solid exercise, and there may be a good reason that you find doing them, but again, you're just going to be like wobbling about like a plate of jelly, so they go in the meh category. Reverse bench press is next. This is going in the pointless category. It's pretty pointless doing reverse bench press because you're not going to be able to get as much out of it as you could a normal flat bench press or an incline press or dumbbells, and it's just pointless doing. Is it a bad exercise? I'd argue and say it's probably not, but it's just pretty pointless. Cable bench press, which was the trendy exercise for a wee while there, it started to fall out a little bit, and for me personally, it's in the meh category. It is obviously a bodybuilding exercise, and it is pretty pointless using this to try and build strength. So that obviously loses kind of some points there, but I think when you're doing these, yeah, you can kind of move freely and you've got the extra tension and different positions and stuff like that, but when I've played about doing these, I just feel like I'm fighting to not just constantly shake and get pulled all over the place, and I don't really feel like I get much extra benefit from my chest, just in my anecdotal evidence, but I know some bodybuilders will swear by them, but they're all gimps. Dumbbell barrel press, which is just essentially a combination of a wide bench press, which is kind of like a fly, but not a fly, and it's kind of like a bench press, but you're just making the bench press really hard for yourself. So on the fact that you've got flies or normal bench press that you can do instead of the barrel press, this has just got to go in the pointless category. Like, again, you can fuck about with it from time to time. It's maybe not a bad exercise. I'm not going to kid on and say that I've done it, because if I want to do a dumbbell press, I just know a normal dumbbell press. I don't kind of go half and half, and that's what this is. So I think it's pretty pointless. It's a no from me. And lastly, to keep dumbbell barrel press company in the pointless tier, Dumbbell Key Press is joining in there as well. It's another variation of a dumbbell bench press that you're probably best just spending your time doing a standard version of a dumbbell bench press rather than this. You're not really getting anything extra out of it other than you're just making it more complex for the sake of it. So unfortunately, we've got to finish on a few pointlesses, but that's just the way it goes. Interested to know what you think. Obviously, if you want to drop your opinion in the comment, that would be cool. That would help the algorithm and all that as well, and you can tell me if you disagree with any of these. And obviously, if there's anything I missed out that you would like my opinion on, I'm sure there'll probably be one that comes to my head after that I forgot. So you can, yeah, leave a wee comment. All the cool shit's below. Remember to like and subscribe. Leave it at that. Arigato.